Okay, everyone, welcome back to another week's episode of Straight Buckets. My name is Todd. I'm here with Brandon and Zach in their normal locations.
Actually, I'm in Miami for this one.
Oh, wow.
Miami.
Okay.
All right. Lucky dog. It's nice weather down there. All right. Sorry, what was that?
No, nothing. It's a little hot. I'm not used to this.
Yeah, well, living up north in Toronto isn't exactly living in Miami, so can expect that. All right, let's get things started. Let's start with our first quarter here, our first topic. Let's start with, there's two people who have returned or are returning to their teams either today or in the past couple of days. We've got some pretty important players. We've got Kevin Durant from the Warriors coming back today, Saturday, to face who are they playing today?
Pelicans.
Pelicans, right? Yeah. And then Kyle Lowry returned a couple days ago.
Had a good night.
And he had a pretty good night. And Brandon, we also got – who do we got? What was it?
We have Dwayne Wade. He's coming back.
Dwayne Wade is coming back, right, in time for a playoff push. So that begs the question. I know we've talked about this before about Durant and Lowry, but we haven't had D. Wade in the conversation. But that begs the question, who impacts their team the most coming back from injury? What do you think, Zach? Let's start with you.
All right, I think Lowry easily has the biggest impact, but this might surprise you. I think Wade is a close second. I think Wade, who's clearly a fan favorite in Chicago, he just isn't the same player anymore, but he has what it takes to kind of put them in the playoff race, but we'll have to wait and see. I think it's obvious the Raptors are one of the top teams in the East. They've won 2 straight since they got Lowry back, and they're looking to win their next couple of games and enter the playoffs hot. What I do like about Kevin Durant returning tonight is that Curry's not playing, and they are on a 13-game winning streak, and I'm excited to see if he can make a smooth transition back into the lineup and if they can continue this winning streak.
All right. What do you think, Brandon?
Well, I agree with Kyle Lowry coming back is a big pickup for them, and but I will disagree in saying that Wade is second. I'd actually put, of the three of them, Dwayne Wade first. I know he's not the same, like we've said, he's not the same player he once was, but he has played much better this season than he has in a few seasons past, as of recently due to injury. And yes, he just did get, but he was it was thought of that he wasn't even going to be coming back this season. And he said if he had a chance for them to compete to get into the playoffs, they would. And I know if they end up in like the 8th seed or something like that, and they do end up maybe against Cleveland, it might be tough. But if they do find themselves in a matchup maybe with a Boston, maybe they find themselves with a better chance to get out of the first round. And I feel like he has the most playoff easily has the most playoff experience on that roster. So I think he gives them an edge there.
Makes sense. But at the same time, you have to look at what Lowry, the impact that Lowry has is easily the most, like Zach said. And here's why. Not only are they going to go farther in the playoffs because of him, but they will take over the 2 seed from the Boston Celtics. They will
win that division. They'll win that division.
But they will also play whoever – I don't know how it's going to finish down there at the bottom. They'll play the Bulls, the Pacers, or the Heat. One of those 3, and they'll have a smoother transition into the Eastern Conference semis, who they will play either Boston or they'll play Boston probably, or I don't see anyone beating Boston in the first round. So they'll play Boston, and they'll easily be able to beat Boston, I think, in 6 or 7 games. And honestly, Lowry is what takes him from maybe even a first round, takes him to the conference finals, to maybe even beating Cleveland, depending on Irving's injury, how well the team is playing, because we know Cleveland's been slipping and they haven't been playing very well right now in the regular season. So Lowry coming back takes them farther than any other injury in the league. For example, against Durant, the Warriors are on a 13-game winning streak. They will make it to the finals or Western Conference Finals. I don't see them losing. They're going to make it to the finals, Kevin Durant or not. honestly. That's my opinion. And with D-Wade, I mean, if they make the playoffs, good on them. Like, that's good for them, but they're losing the first round anyways, whether D-Wade's there or not. So the person that really propels and makes the biggest impact and really changes their team's prospects and potential in the playoffs is Lowry back to the Raptors.
I completely agree with Todd. And another thing to add is you have to look at the Raptors' pickups at the deadline, Ibaka and Tucker. And Lowry coming back now, this team is arguably the best defensive team in the Eastern Conference. I don't see especially considering how much better defensively DeRozan has become in the past year, I can't really see a weakness on the floor for this team. I see Lowry getting in the face of all these elite point guards, giving them a tough time. I really think, depending on how seriously injured Kyrie is, like Todd said, there's a chance that they can dethrone the Cavs.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to feed off your point of, yes, they have made these pickups. So I think Lowry is the bigger addition or guy coming back from injury in the long term. But at least for the short term, I feel like first round, like Todd's saying, whether Durant's there or not, he feels that his Warriors can make the finals. I think they'd at least make the Western Conference Finals if Durant wasn't healthy. The Raptors, I feel like they could easily make the second round, if not the conference finals, with the way they've been playing defense, Lowry or not. And I feel like, yes, Dwayne Wade is not the Dwayne Wade of 06, but I feel like his addition is enough in the short term to at least give them a chance to get out the first round.
Okay, I can see it. Well, like everything with our discussions and our arguments,
Well,
time will
we'll have
tell.
to wait and see how things play out.
Yeah, we always have to see how things play out. Unfortunately, we can't tell the future, but I can. So, just kidding. Let's move on to our second quarter here. Our topic here is we've got LeVar Ball in the news again. I don't like the guy. I don't want to talk about him, but there's some things that he just says some things that are absolutely preposterous that we just need to address that. And one of them was his recent comments about the white boys on the UCLA team and how they were the reason they lost to Kentucky. Let's talk about that. Okay, guys, LeVar Ball, how stupid is he? Like, what is wrong with these comments? What do you guys think? Like, do you think he was just being playful, or do you think this is way out of line?
Well, let's start with what he actually said. He said, realistically, you can't win no championship with three white guys because the foot speed is too slow. So he's criticizing, I guess, their athleticism, their speed. They can't play defense the same way. Okay, so we know that LeVar is kind of doing this in a sense, almost like stand up for his boys because he's so behind his boys. I get that, and I love that he's behind his boys. But there is a line, and yes, he's crossed it a few times, and this one absolutely crosses it because if we're talking about defense, remind me if I'm wrong, but or correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it Lonzo that was out there on the perimeter defending Malik and De'Aaron Fox?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
In the tournament, other than about a game or two, I feel, or at least in that game, TJ Leaf, one of his white teammates, outplayed him against Kentucky. He Alonzo Ball. He also played
both Leaf and Bryce Alford scored more points than Lonzo.
Yes, and TJ Leaf also outplayed Lonzo earlier when they played Kentucky earlier in the season.
Exactly.
And TJ Leaf is projected to be a lottery pick himself. So for him to be criticizing his teammates, especially the white boys, I feel like it's obviously too far. And it just at some point it's just like where are you going with your points? It's just kind of confusing to me.
Yeah.
All right. Like Todd just said, and I can't believe I'm agreeing with him for once, I too don't really want to talk about the situation that much. And LeVar Ball recently came out and said that his words were misinterpreted. But honestly, I'm just done paying attention to his nonsense at this point. His son, however, Lonzo, is a class act. He's actually said something of value when he's been interviewed. And in today's NBA, it seems that all races, all religions, everyone's being treated fairly equally at this point. I think we've had a very fair year, not a lot of discrimination. Why is LeVar Ball continuing to just ruin everything, honestly?
I mean, to his points that we've made earlier, I guess in past shows, it's that what he is doing is, he's supporting his boys, but at the same time, he's bringing interest to his brand and what he stands for. So whether positive or negative, I mean, he's still getting the views and the attention, and probably for his sake, more money for his brand.
If you buy a big baller brand sweatshirt, does that mean that
You're racist.
you're racist?
No, but for him at least, it means he's getting more money.
It does. It's always just, I don't know, like, he's gotten so much attention by saying such outlandish things that I think, at a certain point he has to say something really stupid to get enough backlash from people to realize, oh, there's the line, I've crossed it. Sort of like a heat check, when someone's just when Steph's pulling up threes from, 50 feet, who cares? If he's pulling up threes, making them, at one point he's got to just do something outlandishly crazy, like try to make it barely past the half court line, and then you realize, oh, that was my brick. I've got to stop. I've got to monitor myself, and I've got to play smart. So LeVar Ball is just a glorified, he's just trying to pull whatever the Kardashians did, he's just trying to get the popularity. He's trying to just get in people's faces. And I know he retracted his comments and said that, there's only one person he blames, and that's his son. That's not what he said. And when his two sons, lost in the state championship, he blamed the coaches. He blamed the head coach for them losing early on in the state championships. So I don't buy it. It was just a desperation act to make himself not look too bad. But his comments were way out of line. And I can say that I have slow foot speed, but TJ Leaf, come on, man. Come on. All righty. Any last comments on that, guys, or should we move on?
I think we should move on.
Awesome. Let's move on. We have Splash or Brick today, and that is presented by Brandon. So, Brandon, take it away.
All right, guys, let's do it. First question is going to go to Zach for Splash or Brick. Do you think it's time for Derrick Rose to retire? Splash or Brick?
Brick. I was at a Knicks game a couple weeks ago at MSG, and Derrick Rose scored 27 points, had 4 rebounds, and had 6 assists. I don't remember what he shot, but I know it was efficient. The point is, he needs to go to a team where he can have a smaller role, because clearly we saw this year and throughout his career that his knees can't keep up with him. But I still think he's a very smart, talented player, and that he still can have an impact in the NBA, but he can't keep having starting point guard expectations for himself.
That's a good point. Next Splash or Brick will go to Todd. Russell Westbrook will not break the triple-double season record.
Brick. He's got, 3 more games.
More than enough.
And they're against teams that aren't that great. So let's be honest. All he needs is 10, 10, and 10 to break the record. He's going to do it. If he doesn't, it'll be a shock to me. It'll be a shock to everyone. But even then, he averaged a triple-double already this season. So what's really more important, breaking the number or averaging the triple-double? It's averaging. He's going to win the MVP, not because I want him to, not because I think he's deserving of it, but he's going to just because of the narrative and of the stats and the magic around the triple-double, which I don't understand, and I don't think that it should be measured as such an amazing stat because, it is impressive, but at the same time, when you have the ball in your hand 58% of the time like Westbrook does, then it's not hard for someone as athletic as he is to put up those kinds of numbers. If Harden had the same amount of usage.
He's under 2 rebounds short of Westbrook for a triple-double.
Exactly. So he would have done the same if he had as much as Westbrook, but he's just a better, smarter, more efficient player. But Westbrook will break the record. He will become Mr. Triple-Double, and we'll remember him for this, and also his MVP that Harden should have won.
Gotcha. Next one goes to Zach. So as recent as it was either this morning or last night, Kyrie came out and said on their off day on Thursday, his surgically repaired knee from a year ago has been giving him plenty of soreness and kind of some pain over the last few days. Is his surgically repaired sore left knee a legit concern for the Cavaliers heading into the postseason?
I personally don't know a ton about his knee. I don't like to talk about or think about the Cavs that much. But it definitely is a concern. Considering how LeBron, who was easily playing the best basketball of his career when he lost to Golden State in the finals, couldn't do it by himself. I just think that LeBron needs Kyrie if they're going to win it again. I think it's a huge concern. I think also as a Raptors fan, this may allow LeBron's streak of reaching the finals to finally end. But as a fan of the game, I hate to see this because Kyrie Irving's one of the most clutch point guards. We saw that in Game 7. And he's one of the smartest players in the NBA, one of the best dribblers I've seen. I really hope this doesn't keep acting up and that his career isn't plagued by injuries.
That's a good point there. All right, we're going to go with the last splash of break. We're going to go with the Todd. Do you agree with Shaquille O'Neal's recent comment saying that his 0-1 Lakers are the best championship team in league history?
Brick, no, I do not agree at all. Honestly, come on, Shaq. Come on. You can't look back at the greatest teams of all time. I mean,
you better not say the Warriors. You better not say the Warriors.
No, I'm not. Definitely not. No, I'm not going to say the Warriors. What I'm going to say is, like, you can't look back at all the teams that won championships in league history and say that the 0-1 Lakers are the best of all time. I honestly can't say that. The competition, I mean, they were stacked. They had Kobe, they had Shaq, and they honestly they were dominating the league at the time. It's a great team, but it's not as good as Jordan's 6 national championship teams. It's not as good as the Celtics with Bill Russell way back when. I honestly can't say that. You look back in history and say that, oh, yeah, the 0-1 Lakers, easily best team of all time, best championship team of all time. I honestly would go with Bill Russell's Celtics way back when because they won so many. They won so many championships together. And then you fast forward, Jordan, 6-0 with his Bulls teams. They three-peat. You know, it's hard to argue that the 0-1 Lakers are the best team. They're a great team. They're a great championship team, but I'd have to go with a brick on that one. Shaq's just sometimes gets a little too out of hand.
Gotcha. So we're going to transition to our fourth quarter. And we're going to talk about, since it is the last week of the regular season, we're going to talk about who's going to be getting the last seeds in the West and the East. In the West, for the only spot that's available is the 8th seed, and it's a fight between the Blazers and the Nuggets. And in the East, it's kind of a 3-way battle for the 7th and 8th seed with the Bulls, Pacers, and Heat. Let's start with Zach. Who do you think's coming out of those both sides?
All right, so let's start the Eastern Conference. I think that the Heat and Pacers are going to make it. I think Spoelstra's a great coach, and guys like James Johnson and Dragic are outperforming their own standards. I think knowing that if you make the playoffs and getting Dion Waiters back that team could maybe give LeBron some trouble. Kind of. I was going to more say that for the case of the Indiana Pacers because they got Lance Stevenson now. You saw what happened in, 2013? I just think that Chicago doesn't have the drive, even with Wade back. And if we move over to the Western Conference, I like Denver because I think they know that they can take on the Warriors. They've done it in the regular season. I just think the loss of Nurkic is a huge deal, and I know that Portland has a great backcourt, but you need some help down low.
Fair point. I agree with you in the Eastern Conference. I see the Bulls as the odd ones out, even with Wade coming back. Well, at least that's what I want to see, and that's what I feel like is going to happen. I want to see the Pacers in the playoffs. I want to see Paul George give it all, put it all on the court. And Miles Turner, I feel like they could maybe upset the Cavs or the Raptors or whoever finishes in that 2 spot. But I think it's going to be the Raptors, and they'll give them a run for their money. And honestly, I think the team that would be the most disappointing in the playoffs or the least set up to give those 2 top teams a run for the money is the Bulls, just because they have no perimeter shooting. They're not very good. And, Jimmy Butler's good. He's great. He's amazing. But everyone else on that team just seems like there's a lack of motivation in that locker room, I feel like. And I feel like if they get in the playoffs, they're going to be swept easily. And I feel like it's going to be a pretty sad series with whoever they face. And so I'm going to have to go Pacers and the Heat, because the Heat, they're great. They've been streaking, winning a lot since January, and I love the Cinderella story. So hopefully they pull some March Madness sort of magic, let it happen in April, and make the playoffs. In the West, though, I disagree with you, Zach. I have one word, one name, Damian Lillard. That's all. What do you think, Brandon?
Well, I'm gonna start off with the Western Conference. I am a huge Damian Lillard fan, and as much as I do love him, I mean, I just see it just seems too tough for them to get out, to get that seed. They got to play Utah, I think tonight. Yeah, they play Utah tonight, then they play the Spurs, and then they play a Pelicans team. If the two Twin Towers in New Orleans are healthy, it might be too tough for them that last game. I really like the Nuggets, even though it is going to be kind of tough for them as well. They're going to be going up against Russ twice and the Mavericks once. It's going to be tough, but I'm going to side with the Nuggets in the Western Conference. And then I'm going to continue to disagree. I will say the Pacers will make it, and I will say the Heat will make it because they easily have the easiest remaining of the teams we've been talking about. They play Brooklyn twice and the Magic. Regardless of their offensive woes and Dwayne trying to get back into the flow of things, Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade are enough star power to get them through Brooklyn and Orlando, the remaining 3 games, to get them into one of those last 2 spots along with Indiana.
Okay. Well, it's all said and done. We'll see who's right. We'll see who gets bragging rights. We'll have to go back and see who actually got the bragging rights and make sure that we come back to this to make sure that we are accountable for what we said in our predictions. But to close off today, I wanted to do a buzzer beater just real quick and let everybody know. Last night I was at the Jazz and Timberwolves game, and let me tell you, it was amazing to watch Karl Anthony Towns. He is going to be the best center in the league. But the Jazz are the most underrated team in the NBA. They are going to finish with the 4th seed in the West, and they play so well together as a team without a superstar player. Gordon Hayward, he is amazing. Let me tell you guys.
He is the closest thing to a superstar
that they have on the Jazz. He and Gobert work really well together. Gobert actually hit him with a whole bunch of under the basket. You know, he made these cuts underneath on the baseline. And Gobert is a great passer, underrated as a big man passing. And Gordon Hayward scored 39 last night. And he was amazing against Andrew Wiggins, of all people, who's known for being athletic and a pretty good defender. But not to say that Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins didn't put on a show, but the Jazz are going to beat the Clippers in the first round and give the Warriors a run for their money in the second round, maybe even take them to 7. And the Jazz, if they re-sign Hayward in the offseason, I feel like they will be a dynasty to come, and they will build that team up, and they will be a top-tier team, just like the Spurs and Warriors in the West. And
if I may comment.
Sure.
I agree with everything you've said, but I also think that people don't realize how talented Derek Favors is. And if he can find his stride again and stay somewhat healthy, how much more dangerous this team becomes.
Unfortunately, they don't have enough money to sign Hayward and Favors in the offseason.
I'm talking about this playoff run.
Oh, yeah, in the playoff run, Favors can help. He came off the bench last night in the game. He's just barely getting back from injury. He looked pretty good. Both he and Gobert got into foul trouble, so it limited them somewhat from what they could do. But it's a team with tremendous upside and who will surprise a lot of people come playoff time, because people in New York, I mean, they don't even know who Utah is. Let's be honest. So they're going to surprise people to be on that national stage. They're going to give people a run for their money. If they re-sign Hayward and make the right moves, maybe get rid of George Hill, find someone else who's more formidable and healthier at the point guard position, they have a team that will build, and that's young, and that they will build together and be a dynasty. Anyways, that's my buzzer beater, my plug-in for the Jazz. Yeah, so great episodes, guys. This was a good episode. All right, So that being said, we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to subscribe, and be sure to as well follow us on Facebook. We're going to start a Twitter and Instagram soon enough, so be sure to follow us there, and share this with all your friends, family, anyone who loves the NBA. Make sure they see this. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys, take care.
See ya, boys and girls at home.